Hello, and thank you for attending the Illinois Tech Alumni Association Professional Development Hawk Talk series. Today we have a presenter from Robert Half Technology who will be speaking on business etiquette in the digital age. Please be sure to mute yourselves to make sure that we are not hearing anything that is coming from your area. Please feel free to use the chat function for any questions that you may have. We will take those at the end of the presentation. At this time, I'd like to present to you Hillary McCafferty, who is a branch manager for Robert Half Technology. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Charlene. As she mentioned, I'm Hillary McCafferty, branch manager at Robert Half Technology. So every day I talk with candidates and coach them and show them what they should do to get a job. So today I will be here to discuss business etiquette. It definitely comes into play as you're searching for new opportunities as well. I'd like to start with throwing out a few questions here. You don't have to answer them aloud, but think about your answer. How many of you know whether it's considered good etiquette to friend your boss on Facebook? How many of you know which fork to use during a fancy business dinner? How about whether it's ever acceptable to use your smartphone during a meeting? This just goes to show there's a lot of gray area in terms of how to communicate with each other in the digital age. Your mom may have taught you from a very early age to start on the outside and work in when it comes to using utensils at the dining table. She probably hasn't coached you on Facebook. Today, we're going to explore some of these gray areas, and I hope you'll end up with some useful pointers that will help you make a positive impression with your colleagues and business contacts. Make no mistake, minding your P's and Q's when using technology has career implications. In fact, 76% of about 700 human resources surveyed said that technology breaches, such as sending emails to the wrong person, can adversely affect a person's career prospects. The goal today is to help you use technology so it has a positive effect on your relationships with colleagues and business contacts and ultimately your career. Here's what we'll cover. Mobile devices, texting, phone, video, and web conferencing, email and instant messaging, professional networking sites, social networking sites, Twitter, and networking in just 5 minutes a day. Let's begin with a question. What's wrong with this picture? So let's ask ourselves. And don't worry, there isn't a right or wrong answer here. In some offices, it might be expected that you stay connected even during a meeting, whereas in other offices, it could be a big no-no. But when does being connected become an etiquette issue? Let's take a look at survey results here. It's interesting to note that while many people think it's fine to respond to email during meetings if they're urgent, some have zero tolerance. That's why it's important to really understand your firm's culture and tread carefully. I'd be interested if anyone was surprised by the results. And I would also have you ask yourself if you think that increased use of mobile devices has increased or decreased the number of digital etiquette breaches in the last 3 years. If you said that increased use of electronic mobile gadgets have caused more etiquette breaches, you're in the majority. Half of the CIOs surveyed by our company indicated that more tech gadgets are causing more tech blunders. But there are a few things some of us do that will likely offend our colleagues. Let's take a look at some tips. I'm sure I'm not the only person here who has experienced someone's blaring cell phone ring, blaring a song like Who Let the Dogs Out or something like that. It can be kind of embarrassing. While trendy ringtones may be amusing, it's not what you want to be known for on the job. Ditto for the vibrating phone on the conference table. If possible, turn it off completely. You need to be reachable. Set the phone to vibrate and keep it in your pocket or bag to muffle the sound. Watch out for TMI. It's easy to get so caught up in a cell phone conversation that you forget about those around you. Ask yourself, would you have the conversation if the guy behind you in line worked for the competition or was related to one of your company's executives? Make and take sensitive calls from a private place. Not everybody needs to hear that conversation. Don't be a cyborg. Always being plugged into a Bluetooth headset doesn't make you look indispensable. Instead, it can imply that you can't give your full attention to the matter right in front of you. When speaking one-on-one especially, be sure to disconnect. People really appreciate having your undivided attention, especially these days when it's hard to get that. Texting etiquette. Go light on the text speak. Not everyone is fluent in it. I would wonder how many of you know what AFC stands for? Away from computer. How about CYE? Check your email. Text selectively. Texting a colleague is helpful when sending directions to a lunch meeting or letting a person know you're running late, but it's not a tool for meaningful dialogue. Don't be mysterious. Don't assume your recipients have your contact information programmed into their phone. If you do text coworkers, be sure to identify yourself. Let's move on to some etiquette guidelines for phone, video, and web conferences. But first, I have a question for you to think about as well. How often do you check and respond to email? Or do you wait or do other work while you're on a conference call? If you said that that's something you do, you're definitely not alone. As you can see from the responses above, half of the executives polled said they answer email or surf the internet somewhat or very frequently while participating in a teleconference. The trouble with multitasking while on a teleconference, even if most of us do it, is that you can easily miss critical information. And when you're caught not paying attention, you have a captive audience who is watching or listening. Executives may be able to get away with this at times, but for the rest of us, here are some conferencing rules of the road. Let's take note here. Take a trial run. If you're not familiar with the video screen, web hosting software, webcam, or telephone, plan a practice run so you can troubleshoot issues without wasting other people's time. Be sure to watch the clock. Would your colleagues in Asia appreciate a conference call at 3 a.m. their time? When scheduling a meeting that involves individuals from several locations, keep their local times in mind. Websites such as timeanddate.com can help you decipher time zones. Get the team ready. In advance of the conference, send attendees what they'll need for the meeting: dial-in number, passcode, login information and attachments, for example, presentations or any kind of sales reports. If you want them to review the materials in advance, say so. Include a brief agenda so people can come prepared with some thoughts instead of coming in cold. Excuse me. Be a good host. If you're leading the call, make appropriate introductions before giving a brief overview. Keep the discussion moving and have an eye on the clock so you can leave a few minutes at the end to address questions, recap, and confirm next steps and deadlines. Be inclusive. If part of the group is meeting in person, don't forget about the people who are joining via phone or online. Make certain the connection is clear and ask them for their thoughts if they seem quiet. Enjoy the silence. When people are not gathered in person, it can be difficult to determine whose turn it is to speak. A lag in the connection may also cause a delayed response. Be sure to allow for pauses in the conversation so everyone can weigh in and catch up. Don't put people on hold. Remind attendees at the beginning of the meeting not to put their phone on hold. Most offices have on-hold music, which will quickly disrupt the call. Hang up if you must attend to something else. Use mute. It is your friend. It's just common courtesy to limit distracting background noises. If you're speaking to others over the phone, don't forget to use the mute button when you're shuffling papers, typing at your keyboard, or making a private comment. Now let's move on to email. Despite the fact that it's been around for a while, it's still easy to forget common protocol. Here are some of the most embarrassing email blunders reported to our company in our survey. Executives make them too. Nearly 80% of those we surveyed said they had mistakenly emailed someone the wrong message or copied someone on a message. So it's pretty easy to do. Here are some guidelines to help you prevent making an email blunder. Use only one account for work. Keep work-related emails coming and going from your work account only. Having a single address will make it easier for people to find your messages. Be mindful of which account you use in your job search. It may go without saying, but don't use your current work email to send resumes to prospective employers. Also, avoid using overly personal email handles when job hunting, such as party animal or looking for fun at Yahoo. Respond in a timely manner. Try to respond to all email within 24 hours. If you're in consecutive meetings or away from the office, put an out-of-office message on so people aren't left wondering when you'll get back to them. Be clear in your subject line. In your subject line, and yes, you should always have one, explain what you want. Do you need someone to review or approve something? Or is this message simply an FYI? In the message itself, get to the point, keep it simple, and use bullets, which are easier to scan than running paragraphs of copy. Keep it short and light. Consider bullets instead of running paragraphs of text. Avoid a mega attachment that might not ever reach its recipient, and if it does, overload the box and prevent others from getting through. Don't cry wolf. Resist the temptation to flag your messages with a big red exclamation point when they're really not that time sensitive or important. Use reply all with care. When responding to an email with multiple recipients, think twice about whether you really need to reply to all, and double check your response before doing so. Think before you send. Always double check the distribution list when sending sensitive information. As we've seen, it's not uncommon for people to intentionally or unintentionally pass on confidential information. Next, some instant message guidelines. IM isn't used in every office, but it is definitely becoming more common. One of the reasons its popularity is growing is because it allows you to send and receive messages so quickly. But before sending your next IM, please make sure you follow these etiquette rules. Be unassuming. Don't assume a coworker is available just because the person's IM status indicates he or she is logged on. When time is of the essence, pick up the phone or stop by the coworker's desk. Restrain yourself. IMs can be distracting because they often pop up on the computer screen in front of other open windows and are usually accompanied by a noise of trumpeting their arrival. Don't overdo it. Keep it short and sweet. A good rule of thumb is to consider the length of a tweet for your instant messages. IMs are the best for quick back and forth conversations. Use email for longer discussions. Exercise caution. It's easy to send a message to someone you don't intend to contact, particularly when chatting with multiple people at once. When in doubt about the appropriate use of IM at work, check your company's policy. Don't leave someone hanging. There's nothing more frustrating than having a 5-minute IM conversation that ends with you waiting for a final response. Let the person on the other end know you must curtail a chat session by saying something like, back to work. Now let's switch gears and talk briefly about online tools and your digital footprint. I would ask you, how many of you have searched your name online? It's definitely good practice. Some people may call it ego surfing, but I call it a good career move. You want to monitor what's being said about you. One good way to do this is to set up Google Alerts or similar alerts from other companies using your name. That way, you'll be notified every time something new with your name goes online. If you have a common name, consider using a variation of it, like adding your middle name professionally. This will help people find you. Obviously, you don't want to say or do anything that reflects poorly on you online, and that includes even expressing a lot of negativity. So be careful what you say, be careful what you post. On the flip side, however, it is the opportunity to establish your credibility by publishing information online that showcases your passion for the industry or knowledge of your field. Adding to blogs, participating in a LinkedIn group, or even publishing your own social media feed in an area of industry are all possibilities for you, and all really good ideas. Now let's talk about common social media you may be using to communicate with business contacts, such as LinkedIn. When using LinkedIn or any other professional networking site, keep in mind that the networking rules in these spaces are similar to those you would use in person. Complete your profile. Aim for a 100% complete profile if you're using LinkedIn. The more information you have, the easier it will be for contacts to find, introduce, or recommend you. Your profile can essentially be a living resume. Update your professional accomplishments regularly. Take notice. Pay attention to what contacts are doing. Offer congratulations if someone gets a promotion, or send out a useful article to a contact. Take a minute to introduce two contacts you think would benefit from knowing each other. Small gestures such as these have a big impact. Prioritize quality over quantity. Your network is only as strong as its weakest link. Avoid asking strangers to your network just to make it larger. Request recommendations individually. Avoid generic requests asking all of your contacts to endorse you. Instead, send a separate request to each person you want an endorsement from. Just be sure to check that your company allows you to make recommendations. Make the connection clear. When seeking a new connection, remind the person how you know each other as if it's been a while since you've talked. It'll help them jog their memory. Use the form letter. Many people wonder if it's okay to use the form letter to request a connection on LinkedIn. In general, it is, as long as you know the person fairly well and think they will remember you clearly. If you haven't seen them in a while, take the time to personalize a note. I personally use the form letter, but I always add a hello to the person and add their name. That's something that I always do. Protect your contacts. A contact may ask you for an introduction to someone in your network. Don't automatically agree. The person becomes a nuisance. It reflects poorly on you. Only make introductions when you feel confident in the person you're connecting. Recommend thoughtfully. Also, limit your recommendations to those you generally feel deserve them, and don't recommend anyone you work with until you checked your company's policy on providing recommendations. Finally, keep in mind that if you recommend a friend right after they've recommended you or vice versa, the recommendations can be viewed as payback and lose their meaning or importance. Just something to think about. With that said, let's go ahead and move on to Facebook. I would ask how many of you are friends with your boss on Facebook. I think that it really depends on the company as to whether or not it's okay. The answer is definitely it depends. Social networking websites such as Facebook were initially designed as a way for individuals to connect with friends and family, but today they're increasingly used for professional purposes. particularly in fields like public relations and entertainment. But this is an area that you should carefully consider before deciding to invite your professional contacts to join your friend list. As you can see, over 50% of executives we surveyed were not comfortable being friended by those they manage. So exercise caution when friending your manager, even if you have a friendly relationship. And don't be offended if your boss doesn't respond or turns down if you reached out on Facebook. Still, depending upon your industry, you may even find that sites like Facebook are a useful way to develop relationships that may lead to new business. Here are some business etiquette guidelines for social networking sites, including Facebook. Get a vanity URL, especially if your name is a common one. A vanity URL will make it easy for people to find you. You can include it on your email signature file and business card. Include a personal picture. A personal photo adds legitimacy and confirms for those who want to friend you that you're the right John Smith. Otherwise, you'll see a placeholder image like the one in the picture above, which makes your Facebook page look impersonal. Just make sure the photo is professional and it doesn't show you holding a margarita. Respect the wall. Even if you use Facebook only to socialize, friends of friends can see your comments, photos, and links to YouTube videos, so exercise caution when posting on your wall where someone else is. Check your privacy settings regularly. Facebook may change them at any time and monitor what friends post about you. Keep it focused. No one in your business circle wants to know you've added a sheep to Farmville. It's possible no one in your personal circle wants to know either, but that's another story. If you use a social networking account for business, don't post updates about games, quizzes, and groups you belong to. Many automatically post any updates on your activity via RSS feeds. Ask before you tag. Would you want all of your friends and business associates to see a photo of you in your awkward phase in high school? Probably not. Check with others before tagging them in photos. Don't be a pest. Once is enough when trying to friend someone. Accept that some people may not want to be your friend, or they may not be a regular Facebook user. Don't poke. This feature should only be used with friends. It can easily be misinterpreted as flirting with others. Keep it private. Not everyone will use Facebook or other similar sites professionally. If you find out someone is getting a divorce or took a sick day when they were actually well, keep it to yourself. Now let's talk about Twitter. Introduce yourself. Twitter isn't the place for a list of your accomplishments and interests. In your bio, you have a limited number of characters to explain what you do and what followers can expect from your feed. Listen. Search Twitter to find people tweeting on topics that interest you professionally and learn how others in your industry use the platform. You may find experts and potential new contacts to make part of your stream. Be sure to add value. Consider what you can offer followers, whether it's research, exclusive discounts or offers, or sneak peeks of upcoming industry events. Share links to relevant articles or online resources. This one's important. Tweet regularly. Keep your profile current by posting information or links on a regular basis. A few times a day if possible, or as often as seems natural. Because tweets are short, it only takes a few minutes. Pay it forward. Retweeting others' posts can help you build a rapport with followers and show people it's not all about you. Say thanks. Acknowledge retweets by publicly thanking people who shared your information. Consider retweeting one of their posts in the future. Keep it light. It's fine to be more casual. This doesn't mean unprofessional with Twitter posts than you might elsewhere. Be open. 90% of Twitter users don't enable Twitter's privacy feature. Why? Because open accounts encourage more listening, learning, and sharing. so think twice before locking an account you use for business. You can block individual accounts if necessary. But don't be too open. Twitter is not the ideal place to resolve sticky dilemmas because it's a public forum and there are space limitations. Use the direct message feature to personally follow up with a private tweet. Connect your LinkedIn and Twitter accounts. You can use the hashtag in to tweet your professional ideas and links to your profile. It's a way to gain more visibility and build your professional reputation, but don't overdo it. You don't need to post every tweet in LinkedIn. Now that you know the do's and don'ts for Twitter, as well as professional and social networking sites, but sometimes it's hard to determine which platform works best for your purposes. Some of you may be overwhelmed wondering how you can possibly find enough time to use all of these tools. I know there's a lot of them. Here are some tips. Do small favors. A quick way to network with others online is by distributing an interesting article using LinkedIn or adding an insightful comment to a post published by someone with whom you wish to develop a closer relationship. Little actions go a long way towards building a connection with others. Offer introductions. It takes just a minute to connect two people. If someone in your network is seeking a freelance designer and you know of one, introduce them. Add someone new each week. Try to add one new relevant person to your network each week. Growing networks are far more effective than stagnant ones. Join up. A fast way to connect with others in your field is to join a forum or group, such as an alumni or trade association. If you're an accountant, for example, check out the accounting and finance-related groups on LinkedIn. This concludes my presentation today, but I want to leave you with a few final thoughts. Remember, once information is out there, you can't take it back. So when in doubt, present your most positive self, know your company's policies surrounding the use of technology in the workplace, and perhaps more importantly, be kind and considerate to all of your contacts. The occasional oops is inevitable when using a new device or getting accustomed to an emerging online platform. When that happens, rectify mistakes as soon as possible, apologize to those who may have been affected, and forgive others when they make a gaffe. Putting yourself in others' shoes and forgiving quickly could indeed be the best etiquette lesson of all. Whether you interact online or in person, showing respect to those you know and helping them achieve their goals is the ultimate way to network. Thank you so much for your time, everyone.
Thanks, Hillary. Does anyone have any questions? Can you please feel free to type your questions within our chat session? No questions? Okay, please remember that this session, as well as all previous sessions, are recorded and available on the Career Services website under the Alumni tab for any archived videos that you'd like to see. We do have a question, Hillary. What do you suggest as an appropriate auto reply for after hours email?
Now, that's a good question, and I think that if it's an after hours email, I don't think it's necessary to have an auto reply. Now, of course, if you decided you wanted one, you can say that your normal business hours are 8 to 5. If this email comes in after normal business hours, you'd be more than happy to reply back to them in the morning. Something like that. You can keep it simple. But just so you know, most contacts and companies will understand if it's outside of business hours that you will respond as soon as you are able, whether it's that evening or the following day during normal business hours. That's a good question. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Thank you for attending. Please be sure to check our alumni calendar for future events and updates on webinars. Robert Half will be working with us through June on a complete series. So thank you for your time. And Hillary, thank you for presenting for us today.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Guys, have a great day. Thank you.